Welcome, everybody. We have a great episode for you. As always, we are coming to you today in some cases, depending on how you're listening to us live, in the wake of what was a debate that maybe, just maybe, wasn't exactly as bad as the first debate. We'll recap. We'll tell you everything you need to know, and maybe some of the policy that was discussed on this episode of Newsflash. Thank you so much for joining us again. And I have to start by saying, I mean, honestly, I had such a surprisingly, I was surprised. When I was sitting on this debate, when the candidates were coming on stage, I really felt like I had some sort of, emotional, reaction to it. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to watch this. Just be a bunch of people shouting over each other. I can't stand it, and I'm going to feel like I want to turn it back on, but I really am not going to get any pleasure out of watching this. It's just going to suck for an hour and a half. But it really wasn't that bad. I mean, I think if we look at the performances just to sum it up in one word, I don't think anybody helped anybody too much, because we are seeing a political climate that is incredibly stratified, people are where they are, and they're going to stay that way. That is for sure. We have a very interesting, and I think, performance by Trump and really by Biden. Both of them were told, I think, very, very strictly, they were grabbed by the lapels and being like, do not interrupt tonight. There is no point. They will mute your mic anyway. Trump was obviously, no surprise, was the worst about that. He had a little moment where he had to actually, I think they muted his microphone. If I caught that correctly, they had to mute his microphone, but that was the only other person that they really had to worry about. But we are also, we're looking at some very, very interesting points of discussion today. And so as a progressive, was really, really kind of frustrating, because it really encapsulates, I think, really well, a tweet that was sent in by my good friend and frequent show contributor, Zach Lifschultz, who said, I think very, very accurately so, and I think this is a great point for just kind of understanding how a lot of the left felt. It is... I'll pull it up here. He's saying, quote, I don't think Joe Biden could possibly do anything more to alienate Bernie voters. If he wasn't against Trump, he would probably lose in a landslide. That's so good. I think I'm going to retweet that, because that is exactly what, that is, if you're a Bernie voter at this point, you're just feeling like, oh my God, you had to pull your brain. My feet left the floor. I came back from one of my my little debate breaks, and Joe Biden was talking about how it was absolutely imperative that nobody get sent to jail for their criminal justice, for their criminal record, for especially with relation to drugs. That as someone who did the crime bill, who perpetrated the crime bill, made it so also that, and packaged it, I think, also very cynically and really very disgustingly with the Violence Against Women Act, so that people I think Bernie Sanders, a lot of other people had to really weigh the cost. A lot of people in the Democratic caucus were like, hey, this is a really, really bad deal, but for when it comes to criminal justice, but there has to be this other package in it that really kind of the poison pill almost that you really vote for, because the Violence Against Women Act was included in there. But that was just another absolutely infuriating moment to listen to. So we do have a kind of confrontation that we've seen, and I think this is kind of indisputably true here. President Trump came to the debate with his regular rap on race. When asked to explain his description of Black Lives Matter as a symbol of hate, he claimed he had done more than any president since Abraham Lincoln for African Americans. And of course, he called himself the least racist person in the room, as checking in the audience to see. And of course, missing the fact that the moderator herself, Kristen Welker, who did a great job, really great job tonight, I must say. Very, very fierce, very, very on the ball there. I don't know if she pressed the microphone muting button there. She had a little button on the table to press to mute, shut Trump up there. But that was definitely, I think, a very, very good example of a job well done in terms of moderating, and a pretty proud example, I think, for journalism tonight. So that is really, really something. But it's not like it's going to, of course, lose him anything with support, because Black Lives Matter, unfortunately, it's an issue that's very, very easy at this point to misinterpret willfully, to, I think, really get a sense of, they say that they want to abolish the nuclear family, so therefore I don't support police reform. Like, that is a very, I think that's something that you have to be, like, there's something else going on there. I think if you hear that from someone on the right wing who says, they're crazy leftist, radical Marxist policies, it's really, really funny. I think it's kind of, honestly, what I guess makes sense for, and I guess we'll get to this later, but I'm just seeing pictures popping up right now as we start the show. I'm checking, of course, with the reaction coming to the debate, because if you're listening to this in podcast form, the debate just ended, so everything's still trickling in. But there's just these YouTube ads that are that are literally, any person who's ever been on YouTube would have seen this. It is Donald Trump doing ads that says, "What does Joe Biden's plan mean for me?" Like, in big letters, with Joe Biden looking down and sad, and literally a bunch of emojis, like it's clickbait, like it's some sort of clickbait video where the title could have just as easily been "Fortnite prank gone wrong, gone sexual," in parentheses and in all capital letters. Like, that is really kind of what we saw here. This is what they're putting out right now. Like, the Trump campaign has, I think, even in the face of a good debate performance from Trump tonight, has completely lost all of its mojo. It is it's like a deflated ball. It is absolutely incredible to watch such a campaign. I think that has been so successful. And it really, I think, it's been very, very noticeable, very, very successful. But I got to go back to this. All the way back. Where is it? All right, I'm trying to find a tweet, but okay, now I'm not going to be able to find that. But it really shows you that I think that is a very contentious thing that Trump really, all Trump has to do is just sow enough doubt, sow enough division into people's minds, get people to say, Biden may not change my life, just like he did with Hillary. He didn't really engender a lot of black support. He engendered a lot of black voters just to be like, I think very, very justifiably so, especially in the Rust Belt, and especially in those places that Hillary Clinton lost by so much, or not by so much, but so consequentially, or really by so little. Like, those were the places where Trump was able to get into people's heads, like, especially in the last little bit of the campaign in 2016, and say, Are you really sure that Hillary Clinton's going to change your life for the better? Do you really think that Hillary Clinton is going to make a material difference in your life, or she can just win the same old? All politicians are bad. You're not going to want to do. You don't have to vote for me, but you shouldn't feel that comfortable about casting that vote for Hillary Clinton. And people are like, hey, you're right. Why not we just give this guy, as crazy as he may be, a chance? So, yeah. Trump, again, kind of did refuse to tantalizingly and really infuriatingly denounce white supremacists, and in recent days even reverted to calling President Barack Obama by his middle name, Hussein, which is a callback to racist birther conspiracy that helped Trump launch Trump in the national discourse, really pressing, like, things are bad when the Republicans are, like, pressing that Hussein button again and again and again, because that is, like, 2010 crap. Like, if we're still pressing the buttons, like, we're trying to make Hillary Clinton relevant again here. We're trying to make Barack Hussein. We're trying to bring back Barack Hussein right now. That is what we're trying to do. It is just insane. And we also have people, the conservative messaging machine, it's insane. We, like, one of the top pundits on online, John Cardillo, from Newsmax. He's got 277,000 followers on Twitter. He's a Newsmax guy. And this, again, it's a common thing. Joe Biden showing love and affection to his son, in a picture, like it's like a black and white picture. They're hugging and like kissing or whatever. And John Cardillo just goes, "Does this look like an appropriate father-son interaction to you?" And people are like, "Oh yeah." Like, what is wrong with you? Like, where is your sense of like, he is a father and that is his son who is going through a tough time? Like, that is a big thing that Trump, I think, justifiably got hit for it after the debate, just being like, the last debate, which he clearly stayed away from this time, was like, show, like, at least pretend that you have some sort of empathy and not just bring that stuff up about his son. But describe you this picture. This picture, it doesn't even really matter, but it's just, I think, broadly reflective of this narrative that Biden is doing something corrupt by helping a son trying to recover from a drug addiction. I mean, that is the best thing that they have, I think, at this point, and it really is something. So Trump also kind of this is the big kind of the case for Trump not being racist, saying he has limited achievements to back up the ludicrous claims he regularly makes as part of a stump speech. He typically points to criminal justice reform, which I think was a good first step. Like, it's a step in the right direction, which is honestly more than Biden has ever done in his career. I'm sorry. Like, tell me where that is incorrect. It is more than Joe Biden has ever done in his entire career. And he hasn't reformed criminal justice, to my knowledge. He only made it exponentially worse. But Trump, I mean, I'm sorry, he's taken a step in the right direction. If we wanted to take that populist approach, it would be a lot better, and I think it would be a lot more successful. If you could go to black voters, do rallies in all those places where there are economically downtrodden black voters that Joe Biden has said time and time again that he doesn't care about, and thinks that they're not black if he votes for him, and says that goes in those communities that the people that Joe Biden has effectively rhetorically given the middle finger to with some of his remarks, and said Joe Biden is the candidate of the crime bill. Joe Biden is for putting your kids away in prison and destroying your lives, ruining your economic chances. And I am for the First Step Act. I'm for the first criminal justice reform bill in X amount of years. Like, that's actually gone your way. Like, that is an incredibly powerful message. And I mean, he's trying it in an incredibly mixed way now. But imagine if he didn't go with all over the summer, really solidifying the socialism sucks message, the message of Biden is a defund the police, cop hating, radical left socialist Marxist communist Democrat. I think he would be winning the election by a pretty fair amount right now if he had actually taken Biden to task on that and the coronavirus hadn't happened. But those are two big things that clearly did not happen. It's all been really part of an effort to shave a few points off of Biden's support among black voters. Trump won just 8% of black voters in 2016, and his campaign wants to increase his margin by a few points. And also, I think, again, critically, in these Rust Belt states, and in these swing states, is really all that matters, is to depress Democratic turnout, which was so effective the last time around. So Biden actually, however, appeared to be mocking the claims. Abraham Lincoln here, he says, referring to Trump, is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire, which, I mean, you ask any American with 2 eyes and 2 ears and a functioning brain, they'll be able to tell you that's true. Trump has also refused to denounce white supremacists. He's never apologized for spending tens of thousands of dollars on full-page newspaper ads calling for the executions of the Central Park Five. And since taking office, he has frequently stoked racial tensions, elevating the voices of white nationalists time and time again, especially, of course, when he appeared to defend their actions after a deadly confrontation with liberal protesters in Charlottesville, Virginia. Again, appeared there doing a lot of heavy lifting from the New York Times. On stage, Biden said that this guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn. And again, noting that in the previous debate, he had told the Proud Boys to stand by and stand back and stand by, whatever that means. That was just such a weird thing. Yeah. It is really, really something just what the Trump campaign is